Welcome to The Tech Ranch, live and local here on Super Talk 1270. The latest gadgets, online security, websites and apps, social media, and so much more. How can technology help you? Let's find out. It's time for The Tech Ranch on Super Talk 1270.
From our studios in beautiful Mandan, North Dakota, along the mighty Missouri River, here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
So what happens if the service you're using decides to just shut down?
You mean like Blab?
Like Blab.
Oh, man.
So we're going to be talking about that. You know,
we were just using Blab a couple weeks ago.
We were.
We? Yeah.
We were, absolutely. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, poof,
gone.
It's gone.
So we'll talk about that, and later in the hour, Miss Metaverse will be joining us to talk about what's spying on us. Things that we probably don't even know about, like your toaster or refrigerator.
My toaster is watching me. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So we'll be talking about all that as well. At the control panel, producer extraordinaire Jim Walsh.
Well, hello there.
How's it going, man?
Not too shabby. Had a pretty decent weekend.
Nice.
Did some shopping over the weekend, but not online. I actually did the old brick and mortar shopping.
Well, that's good. I like
experience.
To hear that you're supporting our local businesses. That's a good thing.
Yeah. I was thinking of you last week because you heard about Macy's shutting down a bunch of its stores.
Yeah.
And they're claiming one of the things that's killing their business is shopping online.
Yeah, I think the issue with a lot of these older type of stores is that they don't, they have a problem adapting to the new times because, I think about Radio Shack, and I actually was involved with Radio Shack for a while, trying to get a product through their stores, and it was worse than working with government.
I know.
They just react so slowly and so deliberately, and it takes so much time. And by the time you actually get a product through the system, it's probably obsolete, just like they were. So, and it's unfortunate because I loved Radio Shack, absolutely loved them. It was my place to go. When I was a kid.
Sometimes being a big company like that works against you.
It does. They need to be able to, and I think even large companies nowadays need to take a lesson from these companies that are kind of going by the wayside or downsizing, or whether they just need to be able to react more quickly to the conditions of the sales climate at the time, I guess.
Those things, if something that big doesn't turn on a dime, if there's danger dead ahead, you better see it quickly enough, early enough.
And I understand that philosophy of taking your time and doing things deliberately as well. But I don't know if retail, this is a whole other show on itself. But I don't know if retail really has that, that opportunity to do that anymore. They need to be able to react more quickly because products change so quickly. I mean, here we are. Alexa, by the way, how are you today? Alexa, are you there?
Her microphone.
How are you doing, Alexa?
I can't find the answer to the question I heard.
Oh, okay.
But she still is queued up for music. Alexa.
Still playing Stevie Ray Vaughan there.
Yes, Alexa. Turn the music off. She's just not going to listen to me anymore. We'll try it one more time.
She has a mind of her own.
She is temperamental, actually.
It's like dealing with a cat.
One more time. Alexa. Turn the music off. There we go. Alexa,
I heard that little sound.
How are you today? And she's just, Alexa, how are you today?
I'm fine. Thanks.
She's a little slow on the uptake, though, isn't she?
I was going to say, yeah.
Kind of like us, Jim.
Yeah, it's Monday.
So anyway, Alexa, of course, is the Amazon Echo that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
She is a device that we like to actually have a little fun with occasionally on the show.
Yeah, it looks like a big black cylinder sitting there.
Yep.
Like a giant toilet paper tube.
With microphones and speakers.
Yeah, right.
And maybe even a little intelligence.
And a little bit of light flickering around the top there.
So what should we ask Alexa today?
What should we ask Alexa?
Let's see. Is there anything in the news? Or let's see. How about, we were listening to Ray Charles earlier, so Alexa, tell us a little bit about Ray Charles. And she's just, Alexa, tell us about Ray Charles.
Ray Charles Robinson, known professionally as Ray Charles, was an American singer, songwriter, musician, and composer.
So Alexa, of course, is one of these devices that listens, or actually it's the Amazon Echo, listens to us. And we're going to be talking a little bit about this later, as these devices are able to maybe spy on us or listen to us or what have you. So, but let's get back to the Blab thing for a little bit.
Yeah.
So Blab was something that we actually were using in the studio here.
Right.
We would actually broadcast the show through Blab. We'd bring guests on through Blab occasionally. And I thought it was a great format. What about you?
I thought it was pretty good, too.
And it seemed to be growing. In fact, it was growing like crazy.
It seemed to have a lot of the bugs worked out.
But over the last few days, they decided that they weren't happy with the direction. They just always said it was kind of a beta test just to see what people, how they would respond to this. They claim they're coming out with something that will be better.
Okay.
But the thing is that if you had, your conference on there, if you had your shows on there or whatever, that stuff is gone now.
We had a few things on there, didn't we?
We did have some things on there,
Yeah.
So that stuff is gone. I don't know, I wasn't following them closely in the last couple of weeks. I don't know if they made an announcement that they were going to be, mothballing Blab or not.
Yeah.
But, even if they did, and I was a user of it because I was busy, I didn't catch it. And as a result, my content that I had on there is now gone.
Now, fortunately for us, we have a lot of content on other sources.
Oh, yeah.
Redundancy is always a good thing.
And that's kind of that's a great analogy, Jim, because, of course, we have redundancy with the show here.
Yeah.
You have it here. You put it on YouTube.
Right.
We also have it on the Blueberry Network. So there's a couple places. So if YouTube were to decide to close its doors one day, I mean, as unlikely as that seems, I would have said the same thing about Blab. I didn't think that was very likely that they would be closing up. And so if you have content on YouTube, if you have, maybe you store all your photos on Facebook or all those memories that you have on Facebook, it's not a bad idea to back that stuff up, even twice or three times, because you should have your precious memories, if you have photos, videos, whatever, on a hard drive. You should have them on a cloud storage someplace. So if one of them decides to maybe not be in business anymore or break down, you have a way to still recover and put it back on a redundant backup. I mean, that's the wise thing to do.
Right.
So, and I would imagine here, even at the radio station, a lot of the things that you do at this station and your sister stations are probably backed up as well.
Well, you would think that, wouldn't you? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. No, we do a lot of that, yeah. Well, business in general.
Yes.
It's like the military. They say the same thing. Redundancy is a good thing. Yeah, and back up your information, back up your resources.
And you could go so far as to say, now I'll give you my example of backing up. I can't imagine my work computer being down for a long period of time. Okay, so I actually clone my hard drive. So if my computer were to actually crash, I could pull the hard drive out, put it in a different machine, and be up and running in probably a half hour or so.
Well, my PC at home has been kind of on the fritz for a long time now. We hardly ever use it anymore.
Sure.
But if we were to get it cleaned out, the problem is we have a lot of stuff on there we'd like to hang on to.
Absolutely.
And it's just a major pain in the tuchus to go in there and save everything out and put it elsewhere or download it or upload it or put it on a flash drive, whatever you got to do.
Yep. And, it's not a bad idea. You can go get an HD or a hard drive that a couple terabytes for $100 or whatever nowadays has some software that's built into it that'll just automatically back up your hard drive. So
you can do it automatically.
It's not even that big a deal anymore to do. So I just recommend people just if you need to back up your stuff, please at least go get a hard drive, an external hard drive, and plug it in and go. So after the break, everybody, Jim and I will continue to talk about things of the day, I guess. Come on back.
Right now, 70.
The home for ABC News at the top of the hour is Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek at Facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or TheTechRanch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to thank all our listeners across the country and around the world who follow us on the Blueberry Network. We're on the Tech Podcast Network. We're on the Roku. We're on Apple TV. We're on Tuned In. And, of course, our own app, Radio Pop.
We played a very cruel trick on the geezer this morning.
What'd we do?
I gave him a list of people, and, well, actually, I gave him a phone directory. and told him we needed him to go out and personally thank everybody who listened to the show.
So he's back
already.
So
if you're sitting at home listening to the show and somebody knocks at your door, it could be the geese.
Yep.
There to just say thank you.
Yep. And, of course, we have in studio Alexa. How are you doing today? And she's still refusing. She's like the geezer, just doesn't want to really. She's just having a problem with Monday, I think.
Alexa, how's it hanging?
I'm not sure what you meant by that question.
Probably a good thing.
Probably a good thing. So,
Alexa, play the Jimi Hendrix Experience.
She's not listening to you again. She's got her earmuffs on today.
Oh.
Try it again.
Alexa, play Jimi Hendrix.
Shuffling Jimi Hendrix.
There we go.
Music.
This really is quite a cool device, even though I think the issue is that we're in an area where we don't have a great internet connection.
Right.
So she's a little slower than she normally is. When I have her at home, she's absolutely amazing as far as responsiveness. And, I schedule things on my calendar, ask questions all the time. And for the most part, she does pretty good.
Now, we're doing that through the Wi-Fi system in the building?
In the building here, yes. Which is incredibly weak. At least in this studio.
Well, in this studio, yeah. I mean, it's a decent system, but in this studio, we seem to have some issues.
And it's just when we close the door, when we're actually broadcasting, that we have this issue. And I'm trying to fix that, of course. I brought an access point in today, a wireless access point, to actually make this better. But now we don't have any place to plug it in.
Okay.
So we have a studio that doesn't have a lot of plugins in it either.
Well, we're always one step ahead of you.
It's just how it is.
Next week, bring in a really long extension cord.
I am going to do that, actually.
There's some on the other side.
Yes.
On the other side of the studio where we don't need it.
All kinds of power over there.
There's all kinds of power outages over there.
That's just how it is. But Alexa, turn that off. Perfect.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
All right.
But that was pretty good, though.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I love this device, and I find out more and more about how to use it all the time. So I was out flying a drone this morning, by the way.
Yeah, tell me about that. You were west of here, right?
West of here. We actually went out to Salem, actually New Salem, North Dakota, for those of you who probably are not familiar with that. There they have the world's largest Holstein. It actually stands on top of a hill out there.
Big old cow.
And it's locally, or regionally, I should say, it is a very well-known landmark. And even when you're traveling by, if you've never been through North Dakota before and you're traveling down the interstate, it's probably one of the first things you'll comment about as you're driving by. Mom, is that a cow?
Yeah. You're driving from, say, Chicago to Seattle. You get about halfway there, and you look over to your left, and you go, whoa, that's a big damn cow.
It is. It is. So anyway, we were out there this morning. We took the drone out.
Yeah.
And a lot of people probably are curious as to maybe what she's looking at all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe what Salem Sioux looks like from on
what she sees up there from that perspective.
Yeah, so we took the drone up, we looked her square in the eye.
Yeah.
And then I turned the craft 180 degrees so that you can see what she's, looking over all the time.
So we're going to post that? How are we going to do that?
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll post some of that stuff up there and so people can take a look at it.
Send me whatever MP3 of it.
I will do that.
We'll post it.
I will
figure out how to post it.
Absolutely. So yeah, and we were just talking a little bit about making sure that you back up your stuff. And you had a question during the break that I thought was interesting.
Yeah, what do you do if you do get caught flat-footed and you do lose a bunch of stuff that you'd like to get back but probably can't? What are the options, if any?
Well, there are options, and it just kind of depends on how much money you want to pay, what it's worth, actually. So, locally wherever you're located at, there's probably some computer shops in the area. Ours included, that have the ability to access the data that's on your hard drive if it hasn't totally failed. I mean, if it will still spin, maybe makes a little clunking noise or whatever, a lot of times we can recover the data and put it up there. And we do have some tricks that we can utilize for a one-time only type of read that will pull the data and put it on another hard drive.
So all is not necessarily lost.
Not always.
But it may cost you.
It may cost you, yes. Now, if it's clunking and all that other good stuff, then you can send it off to a hard drive facility and repair facility, and usually it's a white glove type of situation where you'll go into a dust-free environment. And when I say dust-free, I'm sure you've seen these before where they're...
you see the commercials of the guys in the suits.
That's exactly right.
Stuff, yeah.
They actually do that to recover
information. They look like they're at the Centers for Disease Control working on
electronics, and they're just working on a hard drive,
Yeah.
But they will pull your hard drive apart, take the platters that are in it out, and put it into maybe another case or whatever and try to recover it that way. Now, of course, we have solid state nowadays, which more and more people are going to. So that'd be like flash drives that are just bigger drives that are used as hard drives.
Yeah.
And they're not as large as regular drives at this time, but I have a high-speed drive in my SD drive in my computer that I use to boot with.
Yeah.
So a solid state. And that will actually dramatically increase the speed of your computer. It is like crazy fast. What used to take 5 minutes for my computer to boot will now take 15 to 20 seconds.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, yeah. It's very nice. Turn it on and bang, it's right there.
Yeah.
And then I have another hard drive in my computer that I put all my information on. So that way I don't fill up the solid state drive right away with this stuff, and it stays relatively fast. But the recovery part of a solid state is totally different than a standard hard drive. And, we have a lot of people bring in their flash drives. People think that these things are indestructible, right?
Yeah.
Well, they're probably I don't know a nice way to say this, I guess, but if you're backing up your QuickBooks or whatever to a flash drive, you have to stop that because those things fail like crazy.
Oh, they do fail.
Oh, my goodness, do they fail.
Yeah.
Because the electronics in most of those things are very, very cheap, and they just burn out. And the data's gone. So if you are backing up critical data to these
really
things,
vital information, like in the old days, you'd have that green box. Everybody had the green box in the back of their closet with all their vital legal paperwork.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. You need to rethink your backup strategy.
Yeah.
At the very least, make sure you have two of these that you're backing up to in case one does fail. That you at least have another backup for that. But I always, you need to have, if you're going to back up to a flash drive, make sure you're backing up to a cloud solution as well.
Yeah.
Because the odds of both of them, the cloud solution going out of business and your flash drive going down, is remote. I mean, it does happen, but...
Well, I remember reading about NASA during the Apollo moon missions. They had 4 versions of everything, all the control equipment, all the control room. They had 4 versions of the control room. They had one for backup. They had the original. They had one for backup. They had one for backup to the backup, and they had a 4th one just for good measure.
Unreal.
Yeah.
So if mission control were to go down, they could all just move to another room, flip a switch, and away they went.
Theoretically, that was the idea.
That would be wise.
Yeah.
You don't want to have a couple astronauts sitting up there on a way to the moon and not able to communicate with them.
Yeah, especially if you've got like an Apollo 13 kind of scenario.
Exactly. So, you need to really rethink your backup strategies and make sure that you have, backups in place that will allow you to, just make sure that you don't lose your stuff. I guess that's probably the big thing, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah. So... Yeah, I'm just trying to. Oh, I'm like what am I hearing in the background?
Conversation. Is that Alexa?
I think that's actually. Let's see here.
That's your phone?
That's my phone.
Okay.
There we go. So I had a little. We were trying to do Facebook Live while we're doing this as well.
Oh, okay.
It's not going well because we have a terrible connection in this room. So we'll get that fixed so we can be on Facebook next week.
We are working on that. Our crack engineering team.
They are actually.
They are good people.
Yep.
As well as one guy.
Yeah.
He's a really good guy, and he has been working on that.
So we'll get it worked out. At least we got Alexa working.
Yeah.
Hey Alexa, what's 3,242 times 3,242?
3,242 multiplied by 3,242 is 10,510,564.
I'd love to have her in the classroom.
Oh, yeah.
Just for those type of things. So, so anyway, and we have Miss Metaverse coming up after the break here, of course. And we will be visiting with her about the things that are spying on us, Jim. So what do you think's spying on you?
Oh, I hope it's not my toaster. Because I use my toaster every day.
Well,
and I have a generally good relationship with my toaster.
How old is your toaster?
It's about 5 years.
Well, I think you're okay there. But I think if you buy a toaster in the next 3 years, you might want to be a little concerned about the possibility.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Everything's getting connected now, of
Big
course.
Brother is watching me through my toaster.
Through your toaster, all right.
That is kind of a bummer.
Kind of scary, actually. All right, everybody, after the break, Miss Metaverse, Katie Aquino, will be joining us to talk about the things that are spying on us. So come on back.
Right now, 70.
Dave Ramsey is heard here. Super Talk 1270.
We're back to the Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
So, what kind of things are spying on you?
I don't know, Big Daddy. Tell us.
We're going to find out from Miss Katie here shortly. But first, let's check in with the weather with our weather. Let's see, what are we going to call her here? Hey, Alexa, what's the weather like in Long Island?
Currently, in Long Island, Canada, it's 64 degrees with cloudy skies.
Okay.
Today, you can expect rainy weather with a high of 65 degrees and a low of 56 degrees.
I think you have to specify, when you say Long Island, you probably have to give like one of the cities.
I'm guessing so. So should we try that again?
Yeah, let's try. Alexa, what is the forecast for...
You have to wait for her to light up there. Try her again. Alexa, what is the forecast for Southampton Township, New York?
Right now in New York, it's 87 degrees with clear skies and sun. Today's forecast has partly sunny weather with a high of 91 degrees and a low of 75 degrees.
wow, it's warm.
Okay, that's not what I asked for, but
It's,
okay. Well.
I guess, somewhat close. But anyway, calling in from Long Island, Miss Metaverse.
Long Island.
Yes, how you doing, Katie?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
We're doing fine, too, of course. We're having a little fun with the Amazon Echo here today as well, if you couldn't tell.
Oh, yes.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the things that are going to be spying on us, maybe in the future, things that are spying on us right now. I know we talk a lot about the potential for your television to spy on you, but there's all kinds of other ways that we are being monitored nowadays, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's just cut down to the chase and let's maybe scare a few people. How is Big Brother keeping tabs on us?
Okay, so I think probably the one thing that really freaked me out when I was getting ready to talk about this today, because obviously, before every show, I get my notes together and I want to make sure that I got everything all together and I find really cool stuff to talk about. So when I was comparing the different ways that we could be kind of spied on in different ways, I really felt that this one in particular was the freakiest. And you had mentioned it before when we were first talking about getting ready for today's show. What is it? Light bulbs. Oh, my goodness. Light bulbs can spy on you.
So I know that we have talked about this scenario possibly a little bit before, but
yeah.
You just go right ahead and tell us all about light bulbs.
Okay. So when I think about smart lights, when most of us think about smart lights, we think about Philips Hue or things like that, energy-saving light bulbs, right? I mean, or nowadays, let's say you go to Home Depot, you could pick up one of those Philips Hue light bulbs that you can connect to your app, and then you could change the colors and things like that. So it's more aesthetic and energy uses.
And I actually own probably half a dozen Hue lights right now. I love them, by the way. They're fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. They're really cool. I've seen them with Alexa. You say, Alexa, lights, 75%, and then the lights go down. It's really neat to see and have.
Exactly.
But that's only one part of it. What a lot of people don't realize is that these same kinds of light bulbs can be outfitted with a multitude of different types of cameras and sensors and such things that would also turn them into monitoring and security devices, which is what I was about to talk about today. So back in 2014, there was a lot of talk about smart lights. Have you heard about smart lights?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So these LED lights, they come equipped with cameras and sensors, and they're connected to the web. So, when looking up this topic for today, there was a CBS News story video on YouTube that I watched that talked about how Terminal B in New Jersey's Newark Airport is outfitted with all these lights. And when these lights are connected together, it's called a smart light system or a smart light network. So these smart light networks work together so that they can not only be used for security, but they also can record the flow of foot traffic, and they could turn lights on when you're walking down, so it saves energy. But there's a lot of different uses for this. For instance, the smart light network can alert security if your unattended bag is left in the airport. Okay. So a lot of things like that. Also, at the same time, they can be used for either good or they could be used for bad.
So I like the idea of an unattended bag alert. That's pretty clever, actually, and the ability to and I'm sure we've seen these in movies before when you're walking down the hallway and the lights turn off behind you and they turn on as you're moving forward, and that's the type of thing that they're talking about here. But the monitoring of it, and I think the scariest thing about this stuff, Katie, is that there's not a lot of security that gets built into these devices. Mm-hmm. So the ability to hack them, to just be able, to just hop in and monitor what's going on. It's kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm. It is creepy, and the thing is that there's so many different ways that these can, that they could just blend in. You don't know where they are. For instance, when they showed the video of how it's in Terminal B at Newark Airport, when they show how it looks just like any other lights. There's no way of telling, those are smart lights or whatnot. Now, there's a lot of good things and a lot of bad things with it. So this company called Sensity that makes these energy light networks, what they do is they're putting them in parking garages and public places like that. And I have mixed feelings on that. Sure, it probably saves money not to have lights on in a parking garage constantly or just to light it up where it's needed. But what would you prefer? What do you think would be better? To have a parking lot, let's say at a mall, where it's dark, and then when someone walks around, then it lights up? Sure, it saves energy, but is that potentially more dangerous? That's the thing.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that because, if you have somebody who is planning to do nefarious things, they're hiding out behind your car or whatever, if those sensors don't go off because that person hasn't moved for 5 minutes or something like that, the whole place is dark as you walk up to it, so you have no advance warning. So I can see some issues there.
Absolutely, definitely. I feel like when you're in the public space like that, you need light. Sure, security is great, and even like those security robots, which we'll talk about another time. But you see these little patrolling robots now in more public places like malls and whatnot. Sure, they might be able to help a little bit, but it's not the same as like having a police officer there.
Right.
It's completely different.
And we should probably talk a little bit about, why light bulbs and why this is starting to happen with light bulbs. And it's because you don't need the filament in them anymore. Yeah. It's LED lights. So you have this place where every building in this country has light bulb sockets. Every building. I mean, it just comes standard in a building. We're looking above us right here, right now. There's light bulbs right above us, of course.
We have track lighting, but there's an outlet.
Right. So you could replace those with LED lights. Well, then you have this whole cavity of a space that you can do things with. So you can put sensors in there, like you're talking about. So you can put a camera in there. You can put a microphone in there. You can put, I have some at home that have speakers in them. That's probably not spying on us, but you have the ability to put these things in there, and the ability to, video and audio record or monitor through a light bulb has a lot of positive things to it. I mean, I think about all the positive things, but at the same time, the ability for somebody to, sneak a light bulb. I'm just thinking right here, Jim. Somebody could walk into the studio right now, switch out one of these light bulbs.
Yeah.
We would have no clue.
Yeah.
We would have no clue that it's not supposed to be there.
I could be sitting here doing all kinds of embarrassing things when I think I'm by myself, and my finger up my nose, whatever. And
Yeah.
if I feel a scratch at a certain place, it's indiscreet, but I'm thinking, hey, I'm all alone in here.
Right.
Nobody can see me doing this, but apparently, yes, they can.
Yeah. So that's kind of, I think, what kind of creeps people out a little bit about that. So anything else you want to add to that, Katie?
Well, I think what really makes me mad, like just going back to like the whole TV thing, is that, for example, I'm not going to say any specific brand because it's easy to find out this information on your own, but there's like a really popular smart TV brand, we could say, that came out and said, listen, we are recording your usage of our smart TVs, but, you don't have to participate in it if you're uncomfortable with it. It's just it's embedded in our privacy policy and our terms of service. So when you set your TV up, you can opt out. And that's what they say. So, who really reads all that stuff?
That's exactly right.
Exactly.
So, and why don't you just bring everybody up to speed with that? It's something that we've talked about a lot, but some people may not know what you're referring to. So go ahead and educate those that haven't heard that before.
Well, okay, so over the last year, there's been quite a few alarming articles on smart TVs and how they can spy on us in our homes. And let's just say that one very well-known company had publicly acknowledged that it was logging users' activity in voice commands. So imagine like you're using your Alexa, and I'm just using this as an example because, we're using it here and we talk about it. So imagine every voice command that you said, like, Alexa, like 75% off, or Alexa, search for me information on building a yurt, or something random like that. All of these things are being saved and stored in a database that they have access to, and we, the users, do not. Now, the issue with this also is that people buy these televisions, and you have to go through a system, a process of setting it up. Even if you're buying an Apple TV, you still got to set it up.
Sure.
And during that setup process, they make you have to either, usually opt in to these privacy policies, which say, okay, we're going to log your data. So.
Yeah, exactly. So they have the ability to listen to you. So we're coming up on break here. So after the break, we will continue the conversation with Miss Metaverse on how your TV is spying on you. So come on back.
Right now, 72.
The Red River Farm Network. Ag News is here on Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we have Jim Walsh in the studio. Hey. We have Alexa in the studio, and she's still stumping us, Jim. And, of course, on the phone, Miss Metaverse. We're talking a little bit about how devices are spying on us. We're having a conversation about your television. We've talked about this a lot in the past.
An old Soviet Union television watches you. Thank you, Yakov.
Well, that's pretty much how it is now. Yep. So anyway, we're just talking about how a couple well-known brands are now that have the capability to listen to you in your house or in your, and I really want to emphasize this. It's not just your house. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of companies now are putting up televisions in their boardrooms so they can do presentations and that type of thing. So you do a presentation and somebody has the capability of listening to you through the television.
Boardroom, classroom.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing when you think about that.
Some people have TVs in their cars.
They do. Yeah. They do. Now, I'm not sure if that will impact the car so much. We'll get into that in a little bit, though, because your car is also going to be monitoring you in the future. So, Katie, it's not just the home, is it, here?
No, it is not just the home. It is actually, I would say that you would have to be more aware of things that are out in public first before even worrying about things that are at the home. Because as you said, you can control what comes into your home for the most part.
But yeah, I know that some things that we do in our homes are private, and I won't get into the more obvious things. But I think about throwing a password out. I could certainly and this happens all the time. What's the password to get into our bank account? Because you think you and your spouse are the only two in the room or whatever, right? And you might have somebody listening to you anymore. So you might not want to do that anymore.
It's true. I mean, I've heard a lot of horror stories, especially being a mom and having heard so many stories about people having webcams.
Yeah.
The webcams are a whole other show. Yes. For sure.
Well, the baby monitor thing was something that was hacked into for a lot of years, right? Right.
Yes. There was quite a few things going on with all that stuff. I mean, there's the Motorola monitors, and then even, now today, everyone can go out and buy a drop cam or like those Nest cameras and put them in their house. And, you pay service that's like $230 or so a year to record up to 30 days of consecutive video. So let's just say someone were able to access that, they can go back as far as 30 days and watch, 24 hours a day in HD with audio and video of what happened in your house or what transpired that camera could pick up,
Nanny cams.
Yeah. So I guess the lesson here is that as we buy things moving forward, you need to know probably the security options that you have. Can you firewall these devices so that people can't access them? Can you password protect those devices so people can't access them? I mean, these are the things that a person needs to find out right away.
Yes, absolutely. All right, here's a good one for you.
Okay.
So back in June, it was like around the 22nd. That's when the articles came out. So it was really funny. Mark Zuckerberg, right? He posted a picture of himself on Instagram, and it looked like just any other unsuspecting Instagram photo until this guy on Twitter named Chris Olsen, he noticed something in the background of Mark Zuckerberg's photo, and then he started tweeting about it. And what he noticed was that Mark had tape covering the laptops. He had a laptop in the background behind him.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to zoom in to kind of even notice this.
Right.
But he had tape covering his laptop's camera and his laptop's microphone jack.
Yeah.
So people were saying, I mean, even the New York Times wrote an article about it. The article is called "Mark Zuckerberg Covers His Laptop Camera, and You Should Too." And the article posed a very good question. It said, was this paranoia or was it good practice? And I think that's a good question.
It is a good question. Yeah. I think,
is he a high-profile guy or is this something else?
Yeah, and of course, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, just for those of you who may not know that, I'm sure he has some very high-level conversations with people around the world and probably thinks that his laptop would be susceptible to somebody spying on him. So I can see where that would be something that
on my pad at home, I have a little piece of tape over the, not the front one, but the one on the back.
Oh, you do?
The little, where it's like a camera lens on the back.
Yep.
I have a little piece of tape over that.
Just for that reason?
Just for that reason.
Interesting. So have you had issues before, Jim, with somebody hacking?
No. I heard about it, and I thought, well, that makes sense. I don't want people looking, I don't know what they'd see, but I don't really want to see anything.
Right. Interesting. How about you, Katie? Have you ever had any issues with people hacking into things?
I have experienced some of that in the past, but, probably the worst thing that I experienced with that professionally was somebody hacked into my YouTube account, and I had a couple 100,000 views at that point, and then I had to start all over again because YouTube terminated the account because they said, oh, there's this and that, and it was just it was a mess. So that's why I kind of stopped YouTubing for a bit because that was kind of rough. But
I actually had the same thing happen to me with Twitter. I had to start all over with Twitter too. Okay,
I've been hacked on Facebook. I had people who were reporting getting a friending request from me, and I had to tell them, post a little thing. No, I'm not asking people to re-friend me. That's not me.
Yep.
And if you see anything obscene credited to me, no, that's not really me.
Now, I think in that instance, you're more they're spoofing you is what they're doing. They actually create another account that looks like you.
Yeah.
So they probably didn't hack you so much as they just created another account to.
Okay.
And what they do there is they're wanting to friend your friends and maybe get more information. It's more of an identity theft type of scenario. It's just, they want to
get like your password.
Possibly. Yeah, absolutely. So that's what they're after in that situation. So
well, just as an aside here, and we've talked about this, most people, frankly, are not very clever about how they use a password.
That's correct.
If I know you well enough to know what you name your dog, there's a chance that
probably a pretty good chance.
Yeah, you're using your dog's name as your password. If
Yeah.
I know your dog's name is Brutus and he's 3 years old, Brutus 3.
Yep.
Boom, I could be in.
Yep, absolutely. You're absolutely correct about that. So I think a lot of it, though, goes back to like key logging. Are you familiar with key logging, Katie?
Yeah.
Well, that was actually going to be the last topic I was going to talk about.
All right, let's go there.
Perfect. Okay. So key logging, what is key logging? It's a way of monitoring what's being typed on a computer. And you can usually find these things as either software programs, and there's also key loggers that are hardware as well, which is very interesting. So how key logging works is that, anybody can do a simple Google search, and you'll find plenty of online spy services where they'll say that they offer key logging as one of like their features, right?
Right.
Now, and also if you have a PC, you're much more likely to find plenty of free programs that allow you to do key logging as well. So that's, definitely a little scary. But, there was a very interesting article also back in 2014 about this. So there was a tech security firm called FireEye that discovered a flaw in Apple's iPhone software, and it let hackers track everything that you do, touch, and type on your iPhone. And they said that since iPhones allow you to run certain apps in the background while you're using other programs, a simple monitoring app, right, in quotes, could record all the things that the user touches and presses in the background. So it means any touches on the screen, home button press, volume, and so on. And that gets sent to a remote server. So that means that hackers can get into it. So it's scary.
Yep. And a lot of that is, they'll set that up so that it only sends the information once a day or once every, 6 hours or whatever. So it's not like they have a continuous monitoring of you going on. So it's easy to pick up that maybe somebody's monitoring you. They're just recording, and then in a blink of an eye, that recording's been sent to somebody that then they can kind of go through and figure out what your passwords are or whatever. So it's very scary stuff. So the other thing too would be wireless keyboards, and that's going to have to be a topic for another time because we are at that time. So Katie,
well, I see the old clock on the wall.
Yes, it has been a pleasure as usual. We'll talk about wireless keyboards probably next week. Alexa, have a great day.
You too.
Thank you, Alexa. Jim, pleasure as always.
Likewise, I'm sure.
Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you.